Welcome to Insurance Claim Radio, where leading hail loss consumer advocate Phil Coutu and his team of experts teach you how to avoid the pitfalls of hail damage claims and how to use his team of experts to get what you truly deserve under your insurance policy. Now, here's your host of Insurance Claim Radio, Phil Coutu.
All right, we're live with Insurance Claims Radio. Check us out at insuranceclaimsradio.com. We're a consumer advocate trying to bring you, the consumer, information about your claims. We've had a lot of hailstorms in Colorado this spring and early summer. And so we want to talk about the general claims handling practices that an adjuster needs to handle. So Colorado law has some unfair insurance claims practices. And so we want to wrap this up into normal claim. And Mike is one of our panel guests with Pro Roof Solutions. And also we got Keith Frankel with Frankel Law Firm.
That is Frankel. That's Frank with an L on the end. Keith Frankel at the Frankel Law Firm.
I love when our experts try to be charming, but let's move on. Unfair claim settlement practices are the following in Colorado: committing or performing either a willful violation of this Part 11 or with such frequency as to indicate a tendency to engage in a general business practice. Any of the following would qualify: misrepresenting pertinent facts or insurance policy provisions relating to coverages at issue. So let's be clear to the consumer out there, this is things that your adjuster would do. And this is important to know because the whole industry, and I think both you gentlemen will agree with me, is very uninformed what their policy says, what their policy means, and they likely don't know any of the unfair insurance claims practices. And they're quite easy. You can Google all this stuff now. So we're talking about misrepresenting facts. And let's talk about how this would come into, let's just talk about a hail claim since hail's going on, residential or commercial. Mike or Keith, you want to jump in?
Go ahead, Keith.
Oh, well, thank you. So what happens is sometimes you get the adjuster out there who's tired, in a hurry, or has some other agenda. And instead of seeing everything that is reasonably available to be seen, instead of lifting up a part of the building that shows damage, they just move along because they know that their bosses will be happy with a lower estimate. Well, that's a problem. And the Unfair Claims Practices Act says that an insurance company must look at anything that's reasonably available and do it promptly. In other words, do it right the first time. Don't make the policyholder or their contractor bring you out time after time after time. I see so many commercial claims where it takes 6 to 12 months for the insurance company to come up to the right number. And at the same time, Colorado law says an insurance company will not unreasonably delay a claim. Well, is 6 months or 12 months an unreasonable delay? Many times it is. And if it is, then the insurer may have to be held responsible.
So Keith, let's ask you this question. If an insurance company gets an estimate, let's just use an example. Let's say the insurance company pays $200,000. The public adjuster or contractor writes $1 million, but the insurance company is working with them and takes another 9 to 12 months and comes up close to the contractor's estimate. Would that be an unreasonable delay? Or because they were working with the contractor, would that be considered reasonable?
Well, you know, those are the, you put it just the right way. There are two arguments. The insurance company will say, we're just working with you, and the policyholder will say, come on, guys, it's been 2 months, 4 months, 6 months, 8 months. What's wrong with doing it right the first time? Why couldn't you come out there and see what there is to be seen? In my opinion, when it takes 12 months, it's usually too long.
I don't know. Sometimes I've seen it 2-3 years. It's crazy, you know, Keith. I don't know why it would take that long. What is the process that goes through that makes it take that 6 months, 12 months, 2-year deal?
Okay, guys, we're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back. You're live with Insurance Claims Radio. You can reach us at 720-296-3492. That's 720-296-STUD. Thanks very much.
You're listening to Insurance Claim Radio. Be sure to stay tuned. We'll be right back after these important messages.
Do you have a commercial property hail claim, troubled claim, underpaid claim, missed damages, bad faith, possible legal action? Rooftop Restoration is a leading hail loss consumer advocate for poorly handled insurance claims. We specialize in hail damage, large commercial claims, and provide the total claims package risk-free. We pay and cover all expert costs. Engineers, attorneys, roof inspectors, adjusters, we get you what you deserve under your insurance policy. Finance large deductibles, finance all the experts, exceptional experience and a stellar reputation with zero out-of-pocket costs. Risk-free. Rooftop Restoration, 303-997-4247, 303-997-4247. Check us out at rooftop-restoration.com.
Welcome back to Insurance Claim Radio. Now, here's Phil Coutu and his team.
All right, we're back with it. That's not what it really is. We're back with Insurance Claims Radio. And we have Mike Neely, the famous Mike Neely, very young-looking Mike Neely at the ripe age of 60 with Pro Roof Solutions. He's a very experienced person on our panel. We've got Keith Frankel, and that's Frankel with an F, Law with an L, Firm, because he's not anymore, he's getting older, with an F. And so that's Keith Frankel Law, and he handles all of Colorado. So we've got an experienced attorney on the show, and we've got another contractor. I'm your host, Phil Coutu. I'm a contractor as well, public adjuster, appraiser. And we're speaking about the unfair claims practices, and we were just talking about what's unreasonable. So we're talking about one where the insurance company does come up. So one thing we want to point out to the public out there is people think that if you maybe have a $100,000 claim, your insurance comes out and thinks the roof's repairable, the siding's repairable, pays $10,000. Do you think, Keith, that meets the threshold of bad faith or unreasonableness?
Unreasonableness is a subjective term, and it's decided in part by a judge, but mostly by ordinary people, people who are not lawyers, people who are not insurance professionals. So you ask yourself whether it really should take that long using common sense. And frequently, it depends on the facts. If there's some hidden damage, that's understandable. But if the damage is there and easy to see, then an insurance company has to see it the first time.
Well, let's talk about that. Since I'm a former adjuster, what happens if I think the roof was repairable and the contractor thinks the roof's totaled? Maybe it ends up being totaled, but what happens if I honestly thought the roof was repairable?
Then there has to be a reasonable back and forth. And I think you explained earlier at another part of the show that an experienced contractor or any other adjuster can show whether it's repairable or not using a video. You go up on the roof, you try and do the repair, which the insurance company says can be done, and then you see whether what is said in theory works in practice.
So, all right, Keith's giving away some of my tips on the air to all you fine contractors out there, which is okay because we do want to help everybody. But I want to tell the public one other important thing. I think, and I feel this way because I was an adjuster for a very long time. I ran a CAT adjuster office with many adjusters under me. And so what I would do when I had my rookie adjusters, young adjusters, or honestly, sometimes very competent large loss adjusters that were being dictated how they should maneuver the claim. The best thing you can do as a consumer, you can do it yourself or hire a professional. And what I mean is the burden of proof, and this is my opinion, falls on you, the policyholder, you, the consumer. Same thing, policyholder, consumer. And I think it's very important to go document your claim and you present your claim for the proper value with a reasonable contractor, with your photographic evidence, any lab testing, do whatever else. And sometimes there's a price to pay for that. But here's what it does in my opinion. It now puts the insurance company on notice with facts, whether you hire an engineer, weather expert, it puts them on notice with some facts now. And so to me, when I was working for the insurance company, I took that much more serious than somebody on the phone saying, my claim's worth $100,000 and we paid 10. If you give me the facts and you have pictures and you're supporting your damage, you had an engineer's report, you just gave me the facts. And to me, you serve the tennis ball over into my court when I'm working for the insurance. If I'm not working for the insurance, I serve the tennis ball over to them. And that really, to me, starts the time frame ticking. Now, the best is to follow up with sworn proof of loss. If people aren't familiar with that, it's something in your policy the insurance company can ask for, or you can voluntarily produce. And I like to follow the whole estimate and all my evidence up with a sworn proof of loss, because that gets the time frame ticking. And often the insurance company has an average of 30 or 60 days, depending how the policy reads, to respond to that.
Bill Coutu, being an expert, and Mike Neely knows this as well as an experienced contractor, is you do have to back up what you're saying. You can't just say, well, of course it's this way. And that's why you need these people to help you with getting expert reports and getting the evidence in the insurance company's lap. So if they disregard it, it is so clear that they're acting unreasonably.
Right, and that brings a good point. When I was working for the insurance company, what people said on the phone, everybody's emotional, it's discounted. When you back stuff up, and I always tell our clients, back up the email, sum up the conversation you had with the adjuster. Example, it was great talking to Mr. Smith today, representing so-and-so insurance company. I'd like to sum up what you said. You stated that you thought that we needed a new roof, and you thought that the siding was damaged and that 2 sides of the gutters were damaged. I just wanted to sum this up to make sure that we're on the same page. Thank you so much for your service, and I look forward to your estimate. Now, people think that's silly and it's extra work, but honestly, when I worked for the insurance industry, some people in the insurance industry would get those estimates, and I was a case manager and a team lead for some prominent insurance companies, and I had to oversee other adjusters. And sometimes you're looking at smaller pictures, and maybe there's a bit of pressure put on you by the insurance industry because we're paying out a lot of money to kind of control the costs. You can't blame the insurance company for doing that. They don't want to write free checks. And so all of a sudden damages are getting pulled back, or the adjuster told you something, then it comes out your roof's getting repaired. So there's terms out there that the regular policyholders know, like detrimental reliance, which is seldom used and even enforced by attorneys, but I have used it successfully before. And the best way to use that is when your insurance adjuster tells you that your roof is told you need new gutters. If you go engage in a contract and sum that up in an email based on what he said, there's a very strong potential detrimental reliance. So if they do change their mind, you went and did something based on what they told you on the ground, their agent. However, if it isn't summed up in an email, or if it isn't summed up to them where they object to it, it's really, really hard to prove, and you might be getting your whole roof pulled back. I've had many in my time when I've been on the roofer side where they've pulled back the roof, where the adjuster agreed it's told, but for some reason they pull it back. And I've also been in the insurance company. So those are just important facts we want to get to the consumer out there. It's really important to document. Be very honest. Now, don't go use some of the information we have given you on this radio show to manipulate the insurance, because they'll just call you out on it. Because if somebody wrote me as an adjuster an email that said that, if I didn't say that, I'm going to argue it. So it's always good to have 2 witnesses, like a husband and wife there, or a person, a contractor, and document these claims. And I just want to tell people how important that is, because I've always believed as an adjuster, when somebody gives me hard evidence that their roof, their stucco, their windows are totaled, and has the window guy come out and the roofer, and it's all in writing, it really puts me as an adjuster in a much more predicament position, because now I have evidence. I'm not just relying on my field adjuster, right, who's paid by me, the insurance company. So if you really want to get to the truth in your claim and stuff, it's very important to take these steps, document your claim right after the insurance. Let's get into some other Colorado law and unfair claims practices. We'll be taking a break here in a second. Number 2 is failing to acknowledge and act reasonably promptly upon communications with respect to claims arising under insurance policies. Or, number 3, failing to adopt and implement reasonable standards for the prompt investigation of claims arising under insurance policies. Does anybody want to talk about that and how important this is? Because is anybody out there as a consumer? We're going to pick this up after the break. Anybody out there as a consumer, call their adjuster and they're not getting anywhere. This is why it's important to look up your unfair claims practices. And I believe we are, Dave, ready for a break? We are ready for a break. I'm your host, Phil Coutu, rooftoproofing.com. Our panel is Keith Frankel with Keith Frankel Law Firm. That's Frankel with an F. And Mike Neely, Pro Roof Solutions. And we'll be right back after the break.
You're listening to Insurance Claim Radio. Be sure to stay tuned. We'll be right back after these important messages.
Do you have a commercial property hail claim, troubled claim, underpaid claim, missed damages, bad faith, possible legal action? Rooftop Restoration is a leading hail loss consumer advocate for poorly handled insurance claims. We specialize in hail damage, large commercial claims, and provide the total claims package risk-free. We pay and cover all expert costs. Engineers, attorneys, roof inspectors, adjusters, we get you what you deserve under your insurance policy. Finance large deductibles, finance all the experts, exceptional experience and a stellar reputation with zero out-of-pocket costs. Risk-free. Rooftop Restoration, 303-997-4247, 303-997-4247. Check us out at rooftop-restoration.com.
Welcome back to Insurance Claim Radio. Now, here's Phil Coutu and his team.
Hi, we're back with Insurance Claims Radio. I'm your host, Phil Coutu. You can reach me or any of the guests on the panel at 720-296-3492, and you can also text us. We're speaking about the Colorado law and unfair insurance claims practices. We're talking about failure to act reasonably promptly upon communications from you, the insured. Keith, I think you want to add something.
I absolutely do. There is the Colorado courts have said this is more than just empty words. An insurance company must communicate clearly, promptly, effectively. They must do it in a way that allows the claim to move forward. So when an insurance company doesn't answer your questions, when they don't respond to your calls and emails, they are violating those standards.
That's an important thing, because how often do they violate those standards, Keith, especially on residential claims? What's your opinion?
Well, my experience is that I've seen it happen far more frequently than I ever imagined I'd see it. And if it happens at all, it's bad. And the problem is that many homeowners are too busy or just don't know how to document what's going on by sending confirming emails saying, as Phil Coutu has explained, say only what's happened. Don't stretch the truth. And that way, there's a clear and honest record of what's going on.
So it sounds like the documentation is where it's at, right? And it's really important that we do that. Also the documentation, but also the time limits. I mean, they have so many months, so many years to be able to do that, Keith, right?
There is a regulation out there, and at the absolute most, it is 60 days to react to an ordinary claim.
In 60 days, are you talking about when you're presented, the burden of proof, you're presented with the claim, the proof of loss, or a communication? What are you talking about?
You
60 days?
You have to have enough information in that initial part, which could be a proof of loss, but it is anything that is enough to show you the loss happened, how much of a loss it is, what caused the loss, and of course, how much time and effort it will be or expense to repair.
Is there any standard, Keith, for a reasonable amount of time when you request an answer from an insurance company or adjuster that they should email or write you back?
Insurers typically calendar their claims every 30 days. Sometimes they do it less. Sometimes they let things go. But 30 days is a good rule of thumb. That being said, you go with what is reasonable. So if there's more communication from you, they have to get back to you sooner if they're going to be reasonable.
Now, Keith, let's talk about one other thing. What happens if you have 5 questions in one email? Should they answer all those within approximately 30 days, or should you write an email asking just 1 or 2 questions?
I like the idea that simple is better. Sometimes you have multiple questions, and that's fine. Sometimes you want to divide them up. It really, I mean, I want to answer your question, but I'm just not going to be able to say that there's a hard and fast rule.
Mm-hmm. So that's a problem when I'm often representing the policyholder or the claimant. That's really tough because sometimes I have like 40 questions to ask. So I got to pare it down to 3 or 4 or 5 because it gets too complex. The problem is, though, the insurance company's going to take 30 days to respond to you. You're looking at a year to get your responses. So you want to take out the best ones and you want to ask them direct. So we're going to jump on to, under the Colorado law and unfair insurance claims practices, we're going to jump on to number 4, failing to affirm or deny coverage of claims within a reasonable time after a proof of loss statement has been completed, or not attempting in good faith to effectuate a prompt, fair, and equitable settlement of claims in which liability has become reasonably clear.
We're back to that 12-month discussion that we had earlier. Do you really need to go from the insurance company saying this is a $200,000 job to a $1 million job over a period of 12 months? Usually the answer is no. And there is a standard that you've just read that backs that up.
Okay. Number 6 here, compelling insurers to institute litigation to recover amounts due under an insurance policy by offering substantially less than the amounts ultimately recovered in actions brought by such insureds, or attempting to settle a claim for less than the amount to which a reasonable man would have believed he was entitled by reference to written or printed advertising material accompanying or made part of the application. So what we're talking about here is when an insurance company is trying to settle the claim for what's not reasonable. And guys out there, how often is this happen? Is this happening a lot now?
All the time, you know. I mean, these insurance adjusters, their job is to pay as little as they can, right, and then move you on. So, you know, it's your responsibility as the insured there to make sure that you have somebody there that is an advocate or works for you or with you to make sure that they're paying you what's reasonable and fair.
And this circles right back to what we were talking about in a previous show, which is appraisal. Appraisal, for those of us who didn't hear the previous show, is like arbitration. Each side picks an arbitrator, and then there's a neutral, and then these 3 experts get together after conducting a disinterested and unbiased evaluation with a number. And just imagine if always that number is always higher or frequently higher than the number that's being given by the insurer.
Have you ever seen it paid under, Phil? I never have. Have you?
Paid under.
Yeah, like, so, you know, you started out at 200 and it came in at 150.
Yes.
Okay.
We went to court on it. I actually had an estimate lowered 3 times. And it's really interesting because it was definitely an attempt to hurt the assignment of benefit holder, which was me. And all I can tell you is the outcome. We took that claim. It started out as, I'll say, approximately $456,000. It went to $390,000+. I got into it with the large loss adjuster based out of California, and next thing you know, we had an estimate at $349,000, with Xactimate numbers changed, line items taken out. My estimate was approximately $1.2 million. After a lengthy battle of about a year, I ended up paying for the roof out of our company pocket. So one thing that we do sometimes is if we really believe in a claim, rather than do the dog and pony show with the insurance company, if we feel they're not being reputable and honest, we will front all the money for that claim, front all the experts, and take on the risk ourselves. And that gives us an assignment of benefits. And what we did on that is we went and did this roof that I had a $1.2 million estimate at before we completed appraisal. We just went and roofed it, and we videotaped everything and showed that our estimate was accurate. And that roof actually ended up settling just shy of $1.2 million. And then from there, with the client, we initiated litigation, and we ended up settling for about another $300,000+ in damages. So I just think it's important, whatever side of the aisle you're on, I just think it's important to be honest and hold everybody accountable. And that goes for our side too. Like when we're representing insurers, we have to be fair, reputable, and honest. But if the claim's worth $2 million or $1.2 million, it's probably worth close to $1.2 million if you have a reputable public adjuster. But the insurance company would say, "Oh no, it's $349,000." Right? Our cost on that job were $900,000 to complete the work. So how could it be $349,000? The problem is we didn't want to go into court because they had expert up the insurance company and had all these bids saying it was $350,000, but the scopes were nothing like what it really needs to be to put the claimant back to pre-loss condition. OSHA rules weren't being followed. And your insurance company's paying. You want your contractor to follow OSHA rules, and most don't. Not all the code upgrade was being done, ordinance and law. So that leaves you at a deficit, and you paid for it in your premium. So what we did is we just went and did everything, all the components, and videotaped it, and went to appraisal and won. And then we went to litigation to hold the insurance company accountable for being unreasonable. So those are important things when you have an expert. And that's why we have our advocacy panel here talking about this. There's a lot of stuff that you can do out there. Now, obviously, you have to have a very financially strong contractor. And most contractors aren't that strong. There's like 75 to 90% of them go to business in 5 years, depending what government or what study you want to look at. But that's a lot. So, I've been doing this a long time, so I'm lucky and blessed to have that ability to front a multi-million-dollar claim. And the great thing about that is it really does help settle the claim properly, because instead of arguing, does that siding have to come off the wall to redo the roofing or the step flashing or wrap the membrane under? I mean, an engineer can see it one way and the professional can see it another way, and my engineer can see it one way. So what I like to do is let's just go do it, and we'll try to salvage it. We don't want the insurance company to pay money they're not really owed, but we want to show them, listen, we can't salvage that. Look what's happening. It's tearing up. It's glued to the wall. The other thing is there's many things that are hidden. So there's a lot of fantastic reasons to go and do some of the work if you're confident. Now, I want to caution everybody out there, if you're not a very experienced insurance adjuster, public adjuster, and you're a contractor doing this, you got to be careful not to destroy evidence, because if you destroy evidence that isn't settled, you are SOL and you are paying for that out of pocket. So if I'm going to go replace a roof that isn't totaled, I'm going to be owning that roof, and the insurance company rightfully and contractually does not owe for that roof. Where I went and did is that we agreed the roof was totaled. Their price was 25 cents on the dollar. So I could go ahead and do that. And I've had situations where I've argued that many times. I'll go ahead. And we're going to take a quick break. You are live with Insurance Claims Radio. Actually, the break is over because this is the end of our show, and we're going to see you back live at Claims Radio on the next show. I'm Phil Coutu, your host. You can reach any of us at 720-296-3492 or text us or check us out at Insurance Claims Radio.
Thank you for listening to Insurance Claim Radio. For more information on how to maximize your hail damage insurance claim or to contact Phil and his team, call 303-997-4247. And be sure to tune in next week for more Insurance Claim Radio.
Do you have a commercial property hail claim, troubled claim, underpaid claim, missed damages, bad faith, possible legal action? Rooftop Restoration is a leading hail loss consumer advocate for poorly handled insurance claims. We specialize in hail damage, large commercial claims, and provide the total claims package risk-free. We pay and cover all expert costs. Engineers, attorneys, roof inspectors, adjusters, we get you what you deserve under your insurance policy. Finance large deductibles, finance all the experts, exceptional experience, and a stellar reputation with zero out-of-pocket costs. Risk-free. Rooftop Restoration, 303-997-4247, 303-997-4247. Check us out at rooftop restoration.com.